Hi, ba. Welcome to the Clowncast. You're with Jess.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Ben.
ありがとう
And more. Hi. Okay, so on this episode of the podcast, I've had another crisis, guys, and I need my fellow art students to not my fellow art, my art student friends to come in and chime in with their perspective. Okay. So, do we actually have control over who we are? Like, do you actively get to choose who you are, or is it sort of like predetermined by fate and like, you know, it's just the illusion of choice? What are your thoughts? How do you see the world? Do you get to choose who you are?
So there's this movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think that like pretty much encapsulate my like whole belief on like what life is. So do you know how they have like kind of parallel universes, right? And every kind of decision that you make will lead you to that parallel universe. And you know, spoiler alert, but like the main character pretty much didn't choose any of that, so she was like pretty much like a blank slate, right? So for me, like I feel because I'm only conscious in kind of one node of it, because I don't know the existence of the other nodes, I don't know what they're doing right now, but for me I feel like knowing the fact that there are different Jesses, I'm kind of trying to make this life of Jess the best one, so that their sacrifices are kind of like, I'm grateful for your sacrifice, I'm going to make the best out of the kind of faults that you make, which is kind of weird, but that's how I understand choice.
Right. Okay. So there's sort of like, it's sort of like at any given decision point, there are multiple options in which you can go off in, and each of those creates a different parallel universe. But you're just sort of like choosing a path between these different branches of possibilities. And when you choose one, the other ones disappear. They're sacrificed.
I guess in a way, yes. Like parallel universes kind of all exist at the same timeline, and then depending on your different choices, then you kind of either route here. Like for example, it's like, are you gonna wear a green sock or a blue sock today? Maybe that kind of minor decision doesn't really affect your future, but for example, if you choose, do you want to be a science major or an arts major, then it'll kind of affect you in more ways than you think. If I took an engineering degree, maybe I would be a software engineer and a project.
You'd be sitting here and I'd be sitting there.
Pretty much. Yeah, so in a way, I feel like we have 100% control, but everything is already written.
Oh, okay. But you still believe that you get to choose. You're like, this version of Jess today was the accumulation of decisions that I got to make, as opposed to, I don't know, the version of Jess today is just the result of influences and being shaped by culture and society and...
I'm definitely a result of my experiences, right?
Okay.
But then I get to choose my experiences. So in a way, I'm responsible for the current me.
Yeah.
What about you, man?
Because I'm pretty similar to Jess, but only difference I feel like is that I'm very empirical. So I'm based on like what we can touch, what we can see, what we can feel right now. That's the most important part. So this results in, I don't believe in parallel universe or a higher power. To me, it's like whatever happens right now, it's what's happening right now. That's what I focus on. So it's similar way to Jess, but then how I see it is like I see it as in a canvas. And then when we're born with white canvas, just blank. And that's what we start with. And with more experiences, we put more colors into this canvas. We draw, and some of them we don't want. It's beyond our choices. Some of them we want, but what you do with those colors and how you compose it, overall picture, that's really up to you. So what's similar to what Jess was saying, but then I believe that we can choose certain aspects of how we can choose our life, but as you can see, some colors just come without you wanting it to be there.
So it's not sort of as clear cut.
No, it's because we can't choose everything in our life. Like you have a traumatic, like experience.
Like a car crash.
Yeah, a car crash. Like those are made with thousands of coincidences that you cannot choose. Or like you had an abusive father, you can't choose that. And that's the colors that you maybe don't want on your canvas. but so it's just still part of your canvas.
I see what you
Do
mean.
you also think that you can choose who you become as a result of those coincidences? Say you have a car crash.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that can do all sorts of things to people, right? You know, and for some, maybe it's a feeling of hopelessness.
Mhm.
For others, maybe, and they never bounce back. For others, maybe they do bounce back and they still find some, you know, like a fast satisfaction to their life. Obviously, it probably depends on the severity of the car crash, right?
Yeah.
But do you believe that you also have choice and control over how you respond to these things?
I'll go back to canvas actually.
Okay.
Because I think it's
Cool.
easy to if I describe it in canvas actually. So car crash, boom, happened. Your leg cut off or something. I don't know. It was a
Jesus,
horrible car crash.
Yep,
You know.
yep.
Let's say your whole canvas just got filled with black.
Okay.
Happens. We couldn't choose it. It just happened to us, right?
Mhm.
But can we put more colors on top of it? Can we use that black background and put colors more into it so it just becomes part of our picture, not that what overwhelms us?
Well, I think what you're describing there, if I'm understanding right, is that like, so the car crash is like the black.
Yeah, it's black paint.
Right. So
Yeah.
so a color is added to the canvas every time you experience something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like whatever you choose to do after the car crash, you know, you can put more colors on top of the black.
Yeah.
My question to you is, say you're in a car crash.
Yeah.
Do you get to choose if it's black on the canvas, if it's blue on the canvas, if it's green on the canvas?
You
Or
can't
is
choose
it
at
black?
that
I don't think
moment.
so.
The
No.
car crash itself is car crash.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're trying to ask.
I think also I kind of want to argue that you say that everything is coincidences, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like every single thing that happens to us is also a way for us to learn. Like, for
Oh, yeah.
example, with the car crash thing,
Mhm.
yes, it happened, but maybe the reason why you got into the car crash is because you were sleep deprived when you were driving. Or maybe the other person is, you know, I don't know, like 2 a.m. driving and then they hit your car, but then you weren't really aware because you're so kind of taken for granted
Mhm.
things that you have. I feel like things only happen terribly badly if you're not aware of the things life is trying to teach you.
I'm actually the opposite. I'm the other side. So to me, I focus on I'm exactly same with what we do after car crash, but to me, it's after. So like, paint, we cannot choose the color. Car crash, it just happens. Whatever color it is, it just comes to us.
Yeah.
But what do we do with this color? That we can choose. And then this comes to what Jess was saying. We can learn from it, or we can just suffer through it. But to me, it's a choice afterward. It happens. Event itself happens with no. It's not because you done wrong. It's not because it was destiny. It was not a lesson that someone was trying to give you. But after that happens, to me, I believe that that's when we can choose to learn or choose to just fall.
So, like, if I'm understanding you correctly, what you said before, like, the world is trying to teach you some sort of lesson, and you were ignorant of it, and you weren't able to absorb the lesson that the world is trying to teach you, and as a result, this devastating event is brought upon your life. Is that
Yeah.
sort of the vibe?
Yeah, so like going back to the movie, pretty much like she's a blank canvas because she didn't choose anything, right? But her life wasn't exactly happy because she didn't reach her potential. So like I feel like in every life note, it's meant to make your life better. Maybe because she chose the most blank life note that made her the most kind of powerful because her end goal was to absorb all of these knowledges that she didn't have that has been done by her other selves, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So I feel like even if she didn't choose that node, there was still the node where she was meant to, I guess, save the world.
Right.
That's why I think everything is pre-written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only difference is that it's pre-written, not pre-written.
Yeah.
But what we do about it is exactly the same. We
Yeah.
learn from it and move on.
Yeah.
Accept that it happened.
Yeah.
There's things that we can't just control. This is beyond ourselves, right? Things we can control, there's things that we can control. I can take off the sock right now. That I can do. But something I can't control is solve world hunger.
Such as that.
Yeah. Right now. No, that's actually what I did to university, like when I was in university, right? Other people were asking me, oh, like, how do you know you can choose what we can do right now? I just punched it straight away. Being like, do you feel that? That's my choice. like philosopher who overthink about that kind of thing. I just punch them. They get the shock, and they kind of like just goes like, "Oh shit, yeah." It's like, oh, I'm thinking too much at the side.
Wait, so hold on.
Yeah,
I think maybe the conversation strayed a little bit from
Okay.
perhaps my original question.
So what's your original question?
So
What's your point?
I think what we've discussed here is, are you in control of what you experience or what happens to you in life? And the answer is yes and no.
Yeah.
Right? You have control over the things that you get to do, or like there are things that are within your control, and there are things that are outside of your control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, and this is about what you experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess in terms of how these experiences shape your identity, your personality,
Yeah.
can you consciously control that?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's
But
that's
that-
literally
is
what
that-
we
is
were
that
saying. Yeah,
is that
that's
what
what we're
you're
saying. Like, just that's what I mean by
in terms
for
of
me,
the-
it's after. Like, what do you do with this color? That's up to you.
Oh.
You can't choose the color itself. What you do with this color, you can choose.
Right, as in
That's-
like how you process and how
Exactly.
it shapes you. That's what you mean by afterwards. Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah. So for example of like the black paint, right?
Hmm.
So what Min says, black paint, like car crash happens, so black paint is on your canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you can do, you can either paint on top of it, or you can do other stuff to change your canvas. But for me, like the reason the black paint was on the canvas in the first place is probably because, for example, you didn't close the tube properly, or you didn't like you were like half asleep when you were painting. The way we react to it
Yeah.
is pretty much okay. Shit happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's because of carelessness in the past. Min thinks it just happens because it happens. But then our result is the same, which is okay, now that black paint is on the canvas, we can either one, fix it and paint on top of it,
Mhm.
or use that black paint as part of that painting.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like
Okay.
if I put it in very blunt words, right, we can be a little bitch about what happened in our life, or we can actually do something about it. And yeah, so answer is yes, we can do something about it, but up to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like we can't just erase what happened to us before.
Yeah. Unless you literally like change the canvas, which means that that's probably pretty dark.
Yeah, and see, that's what I mean. I go a little bit tangent here, but like everybody's canvas, right?
Yeah.
When they have only one color in their life, so boring.
Wait, so what is
basic.
what does color on the canvas represent?
Different experiences.
So a color is an experience,
Yeah.
or
color is experience. Canvas
Color
is
is
like canvas is the vessel.
okay, so
Hence us.
someone who's experienced a lot of things in life would have a very multicolored canvas.
Yeah, but it's too much. That sometimes it's like it's too much, right? When
Right.
somebody experiences too many different things, but like
okay.
when somebody only experiences one thing, one color, single color,
Yeah.
that's not even a painting. They're just side character number 1, NPC number 2. You know, like, and some people are like that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Canvas is you.
Canvas.
Canvas is you.
It's you.
Colors are your experiences.
Yeah.
And I guess the overall picture that gets painted is your personality.
Exactly.
Yes.
Your identity. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This- Nice way to put it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But it sounds like from both of your points of view, at the end of the day, you get to decide how you interpret, process, and allow these events to shape you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't think you can just be a little bitch and just go home. Just don't do anything with your life and just die like that. That's great. Good for you.
Do you think that that's a victim mindset?
100%. 100%.
Like as in, people with victim mindset would definitely do that, but it's not always victim mindset.
I feel like it's a victim mindset.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
choose to victimize themselves and be like, oh my gosh, like my life is so hard. Even though it's probably like first world problems.
Whoa. I think first world has different problems as the third world. I don't think third world is, anyways. But I mean, I had victim mindset before when I was young as well, but then we grow out of it, right? Some people don't.
No, some people don't. So I feel like there is a switch sometime. Like there is no like hard deadline. Like it's crazy to me how people say like, oh, you can be 18 when you vote, or like in some countries 21 before you can drink, right? To be fair, these like hard deadlines are kind of forcing you to be like, no, you need to be adult by 21. But let's be real, like not everyone becomes an adult at 21.
No,
Some
God no.
earlier, some later. So weird, but like Maslow's hierarchy of theories, like
Oh
self-actualization.
my god.
Like I feel like realizing that you take control of your life is like a certain pinnacle where they should strive for it.
But I have a question though.
Yeah.
How did Edward come up to this thinking? Like, where are you
So-
coming from?
So this is exact. So it's really interesting that we've gotten onto this conversation about like a victim mindset, because for me, this has actually been a real light switch moment in my life. Actually, so I think Min's probably observed this, maybe just a little bit, but in the last 6 to 9 months of my life, I actually feel like I've had a real victim mindset, and only within the last month did I sort of like have a realization that that was actually what was going on in my life. And I think that that was the cause of me feeling really like depressed or low, because I felt that my life was outside of my own control.
Mhm.
That like, my current state and my future state is a result of things outside of my control that I have no influence over.
Mhm.
Like I'm a product of, I don't know, my friends, my family, culture, whatever. But I think the clearest like signal of this was like, I think I was really like wrapped up in like, capitalism is horrible, and the way the world is bad, and it's bad because of capitalism, and like I cannot change it. Like it's a structural societal issue that is like far beyond which is kind of true, but I don't know. I think it like somehow I slipped into a real, I don't know, like victim mindset, maybe I'd put it, and that made me like real dark. And then I don't know, like at some point I like clicked. I was like, yo, hold on, actually, like I do have certain control over. Like I am in charge of my own life, and I can shape who I am. Like I came out of it, but like it was just like this whole journey for me has been really really bizarre, because like I think like for my whole life up until like a year ago, I definitely very strongly believe like it's up to you how you respond to things. Like you have this sort of like level of control, and then I don't know, it might be like social media, it might be like the stuff that I was getting recommended, but like like calling these ideas like why capitalism is broken, like corporate greed is like causing like inflation, like blah blah blah, but these videos I think are very sensationalized in the sense that like they just like it's all capitalism's fault, or it's all this, it's all that, like it doesn't.
They blame others.
Yeah, perhaps
Simply.
blame others or a single thing, and then I was like, oh yeah, like I don't know, maybe I was like open to like learning about it, and I think they're like, but now I'm back, but I was just like, this whole thing has been real bizarre, which is how I got to, do you believe that we are in control of who we are or not? So yeah.
You graduated an arts degree. Congratulations.
Is this what you go through? Like a
No,
3 year,
actually, because that's exactly what art students go through. The first, second year, they go like, "Oh my god, fuck the world," like, "Fuck this,
Really?
fuck that,
Yeah, they go
capitalism,"
really bad,
and
yeah.
then about the time they graduate, go to masters, they're just like, "Oh shit," they're just
So depressed.
they can't. They realize they can't do much about it, and then they just decide what they can change. They will change what they can change. And yeah, so congratulations, you just graduated an arts degree.
Because you figure out a way to exist within some of the larger structural things / like.
You recognize
Yes.
what you can change, you can't change.
I guess so.
Mm.
I guess so.
And
Or
Yeah.
you can aspire to change some of the like.
Thing is,
the
I
structures.
empathize with you a lot because I'm pretty depressed these days because I feel like actually it's because our choices that we could have made when we were in uni has completely different level of choices we can make right now.
Yeah.
And our level of choices, how much we can change our life has changed so much and decreased significantly. I think that's
100%
what
agree.
that's what it causes my depression right now. It's like at the uni we were crazy. I think we all three of us were just insane on what the things we do.
Definitely
Yeah.
felt like. So I actually have a theory behind this, but like
Yeah.
it definitely felt like at uni, like the world was sort of like my oyster type thing. But
Yeah.
But I also think like the reason why people say like your 20s is like the best time of your life is because you're experiencing most things the first time in your life. Like for most people, it's like what, going to uni, graduating uni, getting your first job, maybe getting like the first rejection for your job interview or whatever, or like getting like a lot of your first, I feel like is done in your 20s, which
Yeah.
is why it feels like fuck yeah, let's do it. And then I haven't reached this level yet, but apparently when you're like 30, there's kind of like a slump because oh, I've done everything I kind of wanted to do. Now what? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then go along. I think
Understand.
it's when you're like 50 or 60, you start being like, no, like I'm gonna take control of my life again, and then you start being happy, which is kind of a weird graph. I hope like this is missing so that when y'all can prepare. It's like gratitude, right? Thanking you for like every day. Like, yes, my life might not be exactly what I envisioned it when I was like 10, but I'm thankful for what I have now, and it doesn't mean I can't strive better as a member.
So I had that exactly that slump. That's why I went to Vietnam.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's actually the place I learned gratitude. That's why I'm actually much better right now.
Gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude, yeah. So, because before I went to Vietnam, I was like, gratitude is bullshit.
No,
I
you don't
was like,
understand.
I was like, being thankful, like, I don't know, we can be thankful all we want, but like, was it gonna change anything? But then I realized it's more than just a coping mechanism, but it's a different way to see the world, how we process it. And I think it's a part of seeing what we can control, what we can't control, and we're being thankful of the things that we can't control, but we have.
Yes.
So I think that's why
Yes.
gratitude becomes
Yes.
really important, and that's part of
Yes.
recognizing what we can control and what we can't control.
Yeah, I agree. I don't necessarily say that I would actively practice gratitude anymore, but I think like my mindset has shifted a little bit that like within the things that I can control, like of those things, how well have I controlled them? And like in that sense it's kind of like actually, you know, like not too bad. It feels kind of good. Like I'm grateful that like within you know, like it's going well. So you sort of just like adjust the scope with which you think about things. I guess, you know. Yeah.
I mean, tying it back to the canvas, right? Like, be thankful that you have blue, yellow, and green to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You might not have the colors that you want, but doesn't mean you can't mix certain colors to get what you want.
And I'm even thankful that I have black color in my canvas.
Yeah.
Because that taught me things that I can never learn again. Like if I didn't have this black color.
I think the way that I would think about it in terms of the canvas analogy is like if you imagine like an abstract painting, it's just like it's like prior to my newfound understanding or outlook of gratitude on life, right? I would just look at this abstract piece of painting and be like, I don't get it. Like it's just colors on like a canvas, makes no sense. Like why are people charging $10,000 for it? But now it kind of feels like instead of sort of like having like a bit of like a negative view of it, like I don't know, you either learn to appreciate it or like, oh wow, like maybe the abstractness is kind of cool, like oh, you know, you learn how to understand where the beauty of it comes from, or you do something fun with it and you're like, hey look, you know, like this section here looks like the head of a dog or something, like you turn it into something good.
That's why I like Van Gogh.
Van Gogh.
So because you know how there's paintings that is like per size.
Yeah.
I hate those paintings because I'm like I can print that and with computers, but I like Van Gogh's painting because out of all the chaoses he mixed have you seen his painting style?
Yeah.
It's very, you know, like rough, right? His constant chaos and constant colors, he managed to draw the beautiful thing that only he can see through, right? That to me, that's art.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Monet. So he has cataract in his eye.
Yeah.
Oh.
So when you see his paintings, it's like, oh my gosh, such an impressionist painter, so great. But then it's because he has cataract. So when you see his like early days to like later days, it's like clear and then slowly. But then in a way, we saw the beauty through his eyes. We saw the water lilies through Monet.
So a little bit of interjection, a little bit like inspiring positivity. Have you guys seen that Van Gogh episode of Doctor Who? It's a really cool video, I think.
Oh, that's so.
Because Van Gogh's actual story is quite tragic, right?
Yeah.
Like he died without a lot of recognition, like without a lot of money. I think he was living off the support of his brother, and like for him during his life, I think there was a lot of like, you know, mental health issues.
Cut
Like
off his ear.
cut off his ear, did he? Oh,
Depression,
depression.
Yeah.
He was really, really struggling. I wonder if he like ever amounted to anything. And in this episode of Doctor Who, basically they bring him to the 21st century,
beautiful
and
episode.
you know, like he is moved by, you know, like
Taking to the Louvre.
Yeah, taken to the Louvre and is shown people admiring his work. And I think like for me, I don't know, I feel particularly moved by that because it's just sort of like I feel every day like in my life today, it's a little bit like chaotic, and I don't know if it'll ever amount to anything or whatnot. And we're just doing our best and having fun. But like, struggling today doesn't necessarily mean that it's all for nothing. I guess like it might. One day
it's kind of
we'll
like
come together.
Nikola Tesla, right?
Does he have a similar story?
So he pretty much didn't put his name on any patent on his inventions, which is kind of
Really?
crazy.
Yeah.
But now he's like, Tesla.
Yeah,
Nikola
yeah.
Tesla. Like people outside of the science industry know who Nikola Tesla is. Like, yeah, sure, he might not be. He was really damn poor at his like peak, and he was making a lot of like great inventions. It's just taken away by the capitalist society.
The bourgeoisie.
Yeah.
Interesting. I actually kind of make something that you said earlier, Ben, about like the depression, about feeling less control. So I actually feel something similar, and I don't know about you, Jess, but I think like maybe when it was at uni, maybe I saw the playing field as somewhat level, or I felt a certain sense of, I guess, like superiority, or like I felt that I was very capable.
Yeah.
Because of the way that uni is structured in terms of doing like standardized testing, regurgitating information. Like for me, that was an environment that I performed really well in, and also everyone's on sort of like a similar playing field. Like everyone's learning the content for the first time together, and like in that environment, I think I really like thrived, and that set me up to believe that I could achieve whatever it is that I wanted, because I was achieving in like the various aspects. I think what the slightly rude awakening that I had entering, I guess, like the real world post uni. Oh, plus also like I think within the uni environment, all of those like student engagement services, like the club campus engagement people, like they're all there because they want to motivate young people to try to do things right. Like all of the support structures incentivized to move you forward, to give you opportunity, right? Whereas I think entering the real world, I think the landscape is very, very different. In the sense that like, let's take software engineering for example, right? Like you're a graduate software engineer and you're entering the workforce. So you're like in your early 20s, but there are other people who, might be like 30 and doing career change, and you're competing with them. So sure, you might have a technical advantage on them, but they've got more life experience on you. So like the playing field is very different. You're not learning the same like subject. You're not learning the new content the same as everyone else for the first time anymore. I don't think necessarily all of the incentive structures are structured to propel you forward anymore. For instance, doing a career pivot, like that takes a considerable amount of like effort and research and
Tell me
study.
about it, yeah.
Right? I think like it's just like sort of like awareness of these things that make you feel like compared to your time in uni, that your freedoms are restricted.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
Like it's a lot more tough. Like for me in my job, like there's a lot more negotiation, there's a lot more conflict. Like you need to find a compromise with people, and like I guess like compromise is fine, but it does also sometimes feel like compromise isn't me succeeding in what I'd imagined, So it's another like not as free as before. So I don't know if you've
Just choose your battles, win the war, right?
choose your battles, win the war.
Yeah. So I have a friend, right? He loves arguing with people on Twitter. Like
What?
yeah, like he just picks fights because he's like,
oh
God.
so he's a man of science.
a man of science, okay.
And he likes to argue with the right wing who doesn't even know what vaccines are, right? So fast forward a couple of years, he's now in like a legal battle. And
What?
because he's so used to kind of battling people on Twitter, he's now equipped to kind of like record every single information so that he can bring it up to court. And I think it's like an example of different things that are meant to teach you to win the war.
Yeah.
That is kind of true.
Another thing that I've learned was to recognize that not everyone is as, let's say, like the same vibe.
Different frequencies. Different wavelengths.
Yeah. So, by acknowledging that, look, you have your opinion, and you might not, and our life experiences, even though maybe we're the same age, we're not exactly at the same maturity level, right? And I have to be like, you know what? That's okay. Like, go your own path, and I'm here if you need me, but I'm not going to be spoon feeding you and give you the arsenal you need if you don't want to win the war.
Damn.
Okay.
Look at you. I'm actually opposite.
Really?
To me, no, it's not opposite as in that way, but like opposite as in like if somebody's immature, right? Like of course that you take your own time, but I'm not gonna spend any time with you because like you bore me and my time is precious, so go away. yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes I like hang out with these kind of people like once every like in the blue moon or like a new people just so that I can see their.
See what life is like. The other lids.
Sometimes I need a reminder of like shit. You used to be very dumb.
That was like interesting. Like sometimes you see like remnants of your past self in people, and you're like, they're just. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Feels bad, but also like. Perhaps they're just at a different part in the same journey or a similar journey.
Okay, so for example, like first year uni, right? Everyone in first year uni is like, oh my gosh, uni's so great, freedom, whatever. And then second year uni, you're like fucking depressed as shit. Then people are like, when first years come, you're like, oh, you're definitely a first year, aren't you? I'm like, oh, how do you know? It's like you still have the life and light in you. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Yeah.
Something
Nah,
like
I was
that.
like that for a whole time actually.
Oh, really?
For uni, yeah. I think I started that life when I was 16 in high school because I just didn't go to high school. I mean, I went to high school, but as in like I did all like things outside high school, so I had more freedom. I just fought with my parents a lot about it. But like when I went to uni, I was at that kind of like a third year stage, being like, but still energetic because it's the first year. So I think I always kept that kind of like a passion going on. So I think it depends as well. Usually that's I think majority what happens. So I think, but some people already depressed in the first year.
Yeah.
As well. You know those people as well, right?
I mean, I'm generalizing to make it like more consumable for the masses.
Wait, so hold on. Just summarize this then. So, in the sense that when Min and I entered the workforce, we felt that our freedoms or scope of control was more limited, vastly decreased. But it sounds to me that like you don't necessarily feel that way in the sense that you're learning skills that are transferable and you still can do whatever.
I guess like if you look at my CV, right, like 3 of us have completely different CVs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I jumped through a lot of different industries, right? So
That's
I'm
true.
so used to change and being adaptable and stuff like that. Our experiences, our canvases are totally different.
Yeah, completely.
True.
Yeah.
Going back to paintings, I guess I don't mind going back to darker paintings in my life because I know like you can only reach your highest highs when you've reached your lowest lows. Because if your life is like this, right, then your high and lows are not that different. But if you've experienced like a super down low, then like it's your highest highs are the same as your lowest lows.
Right.
To me, it's that I chose my wrong battle. And currently, I can't get out of the battle. I'm trying to get out of the battle, I can't. So I'm constantly losing in the battle. So I'm just feeling exhausted. I think that's really causing my depression. So I'm as you're saying right now, I'm just choosing that. I'm just at that low.
Yeah.
But it's not my lowest. But like it's still significantly lower than what I really wish to be.
Well, I think it's really, really interesting because I think we have 3 very clear, different experiences when it comes to like how we've shaped our careers, and I definitely think it's influenced the way that we perceive like freedom and control.
Oh yeah.
In the sense that like Jess has been very flexible, hopping between lots of different industries, doing lots of different things, and being able to make them happen, and like you're like quite used to it. Whereas I've had one change from engineering to product management, and I was thankful that like whilst the journey was a little bit rocky and I wasn't sure if it was going to happen, I've managed to get my foot in the door, and Min is still in the process of trying to like make it happen. And so like 3 different experiences very much shaping different feelings of
I wish I
control.
can just keep jumping as well. Fuck.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's genuinely crazy. I'm not even sure I could like continue to thrive in so many different industries, like because like different skill sets, right? Like different hard skills.
J.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like I was literally thrown into a different country. You think about it, like multiple times.
True.
So like it just got.
Feel
used
them
to
you
me.
through yourself. So.
See, like I felt stagnant.
yeah. Us. Me going to Vietnam, you going to New York, same thing.
Literally, my friend was like, I don't know what to do with my life. She's like, come to New York. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, why not?
Yeah. I remember you calling me crying though.
Yeah, I like, I hated having to go home. And
Oh.
but I knew like I had to like stick it out for me to like grow because I wanted to grow, and the easiest way,
Throw yourself into
Yeah.
unknown.
which is kind of crazy.
Oh, fuck,
That's
that's
crazy.
the best part.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
I
sometimes
wish I could do that for a whole year.
you can.
Like, I'm not learning shit over here.
It seems like the conclusion is definitely you can and you are in control of how you respond and process certain things, right? The actual events that happen in your life, there is a certain scope of control that you can, and there are things that you cannot control. But in terms of how you respond, how you go forward, how it shapes your identity, definitely something that you can control based on our beliefs. And definitely, I guess, as you progress through life, feelings of control, the scope of control, like, can become more clear, can become a journey of learning, like, what is actually within your control and finding contentness within it. And yeah, depending on like your experiences post-work, you may come across new events that will shape your feeling of ability to be in control or not. I think that covers it. And our beautiful canvas analogy. That was awesome.
Thank
That
you,
was
thank
fun.
you.
That was
That was fun.
great.
All right. And
Mod Pie Ba!
maybe I should just take like a career sabbatical and go be a ski instructor in Japan for 6 months. 'Cause, like,
No.
I'm obsessed with skiing at the moment. But it's kind of like, yeah, I guess you have freedoms in other forms that like perhaps like I take for granted, I guess, a little bit.